With me right now from United Mutual is Carl Randazzo, and he is going to be talking about the Energy Task Force that you've been hearing about. Nice to have you back.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, the Energy Task Force met this week on Wednesday, and we meet every 2 months, and we're trying to discern what issues we have to address within the community on energy problems, okay, because of our aging infrastructure. And as I've presented here in the past, okay,
Right.
that the Energy Task Force is made up of 2 directors from each of the mutuals and 2 from the GRF board, plus a number of advisors. Now, a lot of the people on the Energy Task Force are engineers, but the advisors help us in those areas where we're not very familiar with. Some engineers think they know it all, but we don't. Okay. So, and I'm an engineer to begin. So as a result of that, these advisors help us with these issues. And we met this past Wednesday, discussed a number of issues. We also elected a new chairman and a vice chairman because a number of the people that were on the Energy Task Force have termed out on their respective boards, and they've decided that they're no longer going to be on the task force or maybe on the board. So as a result of that, they won't represent that particular board on the task force. They've decided that they would like to start enjoying themselves again for their retirement and do some traveling and such. So, and our new chairman right now is Bert Moldow, and then I was elected as the vice chair. The meeting was long this week. It was about 3 hours because we had a number of things to discuss. We hadn't met in about two months, and we had two companies that represent some ICE Energy and Energy Coalition. And these 2 companies are companies that the Energy Coalition is going to be one that we have hired to do our electrical consulting to determine what our infrastructure is like and what we need to do with regard to our infrastructure. And ICE Energy is a company that I had explained the last time I was here. When
I remember that.
We were just talking about the Solar Energy Power International Conference that we went to, Steve Leonard and we introduced ICE Energy. We then gave ICE Energy information to possibly discuss some possible enhancements here in the village, and VMS is working with ICE Energy right now. ICE Energy provides for a unit that's called an ICE Bear, and this ICE Bear would provide a means of providing energy to the air conditioners, so that the air conditioners on the various major buildings in the community will able to have their air conditioning compressors stopped during the daylight time periods when they use a lot of energy normally. And that means that our rates are higher during that time period, and as a result of that, that would reduce our rates because they would use this ICE Bear, which would store that energy in the form of ice at night when the rates are lower. So we had those people come in and they made a presentation to us, and it was very well received. Now we're not going to let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. We have not told these people that we're going to use this technology. We're still in the phases of preliminary phases of deciding whether or not it can be useful for us and how it can be useful for us. Besides the fact that there's a savings in electrical costs, there's also a savings with regard to the installation costs, because SCE through grants will pay for at least part or maybe most of the installation of this ICE Bear, and it wouldn't cost us anything, and then we benefit from that particular thing. So it seems like a win-win, but not everything is a win-win until you actually put the pedal to the metal and actually make that determination.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually surprised it would be SCE giving the grants, because in the long run, they're the ones who wouldn't be getting as much money every month.
Yeah, the thing right now is the issue has been that the the nuclear power plant down there near Camp Pendleton, That one, as a result of issues, okay, is shut down, so they have to make up the electricity some other way.
Okay.
And that's why solar and various other things are being discerned at this particular point in time.
Okay.
And this is one of the ways that they're doing it, by trying to reduce the energy consumption during the daytime.
Okay.
So that they don't have to provide as much, because they don't have as much electricity to provide.
Okay, got it.
Then the other people that came to visit us at the meeting was the Energy Coalition. And this is an electrical consultant firm that United Third and GRF have hired under separate contracts to address our electrical infrastructure in the community. And this is something that we had discussed previously at one of the other meetings when I was here. The electrical infrastructure in this community, as I mentioned before, is aging, and we felt that we needed to have a consultant come in to do a broad brush study of where we are in the community and what needs to get done to fix any problems that we have. Third and United, being the mutuals that are doing the housing, their goals for the Energy Coalition is to review the current United and Third Mutual's electrical infrastructure with an eye towards our current situation and 5 to 10 year load capacities, and then perform an analysis and report on the findings, and then prepare a strategic action plan for what will need to be done to upgrade our infrastructure to address our current and future limitations, including the possible needs of charging stations for electrical vehicles. That's a possibility, because electric vehicles seem to be things that are happening. Golf carts, and a possible increase in the use of alternative energy. Because alternative energy, because of the, again, SCE not being able to provide energy, plus there's a cost issue because of the fact that the rates are not getting any lower. So alternative energy may be solar or possibly fuel cells, with a possibility of using that towards various different places within the community. And then GRF, since their responsibility is slightly different, whereby they have the clubhouses and what have you, they're asking this consultant to do research the feasibility for alternative energy and microgrids for electric energy generation, and develop a community strategy for EV charging stations. And there is some talk about the fact of using excuse me, microgrids, and microgrids would be possibly using fuel cells, which would then be used within a certain area, like here at the community center. Instead of using a diesel generator for emergency power, we could possibly use fuel cells and put that into a microgrid, and that microgrid would be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, instead of just paying for a generator that would only be used during an emergency situation. But the infrastructure for the fuel cells, okay, would require producing hydrogen and what have you, and it has a cost consideration that we'd have to marry against what the actual long-term use would be. And then our infrastructure, as I said, is over 50 years old, so SCE will address areas where infrastructure is no longer working, is on the verge of no longer functioning, but they will not upgrade our infrastructure to a higher rating because they feel they only replace like for like, and that's SCE. And SCE right now has notified us that they are fixing the cables and the transformers in the community, but if we want transformers that have higher capacities or cabling that has higher capacities, only if it meets the requirements that they have as far as their fiduciary responsibility. They have no responsibility to give us anything more than like for like.
Right.
And that's the way they feel right now. However, in certain cases where certain transformers are no longer built, the lower capacity transformers, they will provide us with a higher capacity transformer because of the fact it's cheaper for them to put in the higher capacity transformer. So that's something we're working with SCE on. And TEC, the Energy Coalition, who's our consultant, will be working with us to see how that might work for us to get our infrastructure up.
All right, very good. So everybody's working together, and We'll see where it
Everybody's working
leads.
together. I mean, we seem to have a very good group of people.
Yeah.
And we really work well together.
All right, great to have you on.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it as always, Carl.
Thank you.
And as Carl said, he's been on a lot. He'll maybe co-host one day, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, there'll be 3 of us, okay?
All right, you take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Take care.